Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at Kai'Sa. Now this is one of the games that I played on stream a few days ago. I'm just going to bump up the volume real quick just so you guys can hear the game volume a little bit better. But in this game, we're Kai'Sa with a Lulu. Now, Kai'Sa Lulu is a really strong combo. I think Lulu has definitely come back into the meta now because she can offer all them shields, the health, and obviously because of the pretty overpowered support items. The Ardent Sensor, the Staff of Flowing Water, which was a new item that got added in patch 2.4, and also the Harmonic Echo at the same time as well. So in this lane, we're against a Vayne and a Braum. Now, Kai'Sa does pretty well into Vayne. Most of the time, she wins out on her trades. But the thing is with Vayne, most of the time, she outscales Kai'Sa in the late game. But early on, as a Lulu, you kind of want to do what this Lulu's pretty much doing now and be very aggressive as a Lulu, because Lulu does really, really well into Braum early on. When Braum doesn't, obviously Braum is a melee champion against a ranged champion, and that's one of Braum's weaknesses, is being against ranged champions. And as you can see in this situation here, we have got into a situation where we are just bullying out basically the Braum and the Vayne. Now, I think kind of a problem looking at this game and looking back is I probably shouldn't have pushed the lane as much as I did in this game. I was auto-attacking a lot, probably because I was streaming, so maybe I was like watching chat at the same time, so I was just pushing out the lane. But looking at this game back, I probably should have done more to actually zone out the enemies. Now, this is something you can do in I would say quite well in Wild Rift, not obviously as well as PC League, because the laning phase in Wild Rift is not as long as PC. But you can kind of zone out the enemies and kind of deny them not only gold, but also experience. But in Wild Rift, you do get a lot of passive gold, and you do also get a lot of passive experience as well. So zoning is not as effective as what it is in PC League of Legends, because obviously zoning and laning phase in general just is a lot longer in PC League of Legends than Wild Rifts. You can see Wukong is bot lane at the moment trying to get a gank off, but as you can see, we are playing quite passive, and we saw him there, so we knew that Wukong was coming from a mile away because of the vision. Obviously, getting a ward in that bush in the river is really, really important. Probably good that to get a ward maybe a little bit further, maybe closer to where the dragon is, so we can actually see that maybe he's coming from, you know, quite far away, so we know in advance, instead of maybe us knowing that he's in the bush is maybe a bit too late. It would have been nice to get a bit of a ward a bit further on. But as you can see, Vayne is extremely low. And again, this is a problem with Vayne that I've mentioned before, is that Vayne during that laning phase is not very strong. Now, Wukong tries to come again to try and kill. I think Wukong actually used his flash there as well to try and kill him. And we were able to, I believe, turn this around. I'm not really too sure. Yeah, you can see the Evelyn's coming now. And we were able to get that kill onto the Braum, which was a really nice combo with my passive. And the Vayne also flashes forward as well and then dies to the Evelyn. So Wukong kind of baiting his whole team there, to be fair. Not really the best play by Wukong. And something that I realized a lot with junglers in Wild Rift is that what you need to do as a jungler is you need to look at the position of your laners. Because the problem is that when you gank as a jungler, you need to see, right, is my lane in a good position? Is my lane in a gankable position? And sometimes there might be situations where, for example, that Vayne was really, really low on HP, so you couldn't actually do anything. Or she couldn't really do anything. And what she did, she waited for the fruit to come back online. And then when she got the fruit, she was able to then re-engage, but obviously it was a bit too late by then. Obviously with Kai'Sa, the build hasn't really changed as much. The build is pretty much the same. You just go BF sword into Executioner's Calling, and the long sword. As you can see, we have our Q upgrade before that first dragon spawn. And this is a real power point of Kai'Sa. And you can really see that the amount of damage you could do with Kai'Sa with this build is just completely disgusting. And in my opinion, Kai'Sa is still a really strong champion, even with the rise of all these crit items and these crit builds in general. Now, we do have vision over the dragon at the moment, but there's not really much that we can actually do because we don't want to get wombo comboed by this Annie. Now, it looks like the Annie is trying to escape the Fizz and the Evelyn. And the Fizz actually does kill the Annie, which is quite important. I try and land a W here onto Vayne, but unfortunately I couldn't land it. And what I do here is I kind of try and distract the enemies and try and make sure that the Evelyn escapes. And as you can see, the Evelyn turns invisible and she's able to escape the complete opposite way, which is crazy with Evelyn. You could just, after a while, just turn invisible. And then you're just like, oh, I'm not actually here anymore. I'm actually completely over the other side of the map. Which is kind of disgusting, to be fair. But something that obviously is in the game and just is a part of the champion in general. As you can see, we're still building out this this Vayne Brom, and this I wouldn't really say Vayne Brom is a very good combo in the bot lane because Brom at times wants to play quite aggressive, obviously with his passive stacks, but Vayne early on just wants to farm up and just wants to play passive. Obviously, Brom's quite good at peeling for Vayne when it comes to like the mid and the late game, but I feel like having a Lulu or having a Janna or a Nami to kind of buff up the Vayne and make her even more powerful is probably a stronger and more viable option, in my opinion. As you can see here, we're going towards the dragon. We've got on Brom just off to the side. Now, I'm a little bit late to the party here, but I think I'm able to come in here and be a little bit helpful. As you can see, Annie is there as well. And we're kind of in a little bit of a difficult spot at the moment. We're able to get onto the back line and kill the Annie. And we somehow escaped as well. And it was really good part of using my ultimate. But I think the problem is here is that I walked back in after not realizing what happened. Now, overall, it was a pretty decent trade. We traded 2 for 1 overall in their favor. But I believe we got the dragon from it. Actually, don't know if we did get the dragon. I don't think we did get the dragon for it. So maybe it was a bad trade overall. But I did really well there to get onto the back line and get onto the Annie. But the problem is that I didn't really look at the state of my team. I didn't really look at the state of the map. So I was trying to walk back into trying to be a bit more helpful for my team. But then I realized that, oh wait, my team are not actually there. So I kind of died for no reason there. But still, overall, not a bad trade. We're 7-2 at the moment on kills. I currently have 2 kills myself, which is really, really nice. And we're just going to keep farming. Now, obviously, I haven't bought boots yet. Now, the thing is with Kai'Sa is that sometimes I like to just go for my Q upgrade and then finish the Blade of Rune King and then go for the boots afterwards. Because I think getting the Blade of Rune King is such a huge power spike for Kai'Sa. And I feel like you can skip the boots because you get that extra movement speed from the Blade of Rune King. And because I have a Lulu as well, that also gives me a little bit of extra movement speed. So I feel like in this situation it was quite nice. Brom are trying to engage here onto the Lulu, but unfortunately the Evelyn is there trying to be a bit of a nuisance. But a little bit, I guess you can call it a sidestep. But that's one thing with Brom as well, is his abilities are kind of, you can kind of see them coming from a mile away, in my opinion. You know when he's going to walk up, he's going to activate his ultimate or activate any of his abilities. So quite nice there that I was able to dodge the ultimate. And what I'm doing here is I'm trying to get this first tower of the game. Not of the game, sorry, but I tried to get this tower. But for some reason, Vayne flashes in. No idea why. Tries to flash in and then uses her ultimate for some reason. We do really, really well here to kite back and to kind of kill everyone after taking the tower as well, which is really, really nice. And I kind of want to go back here and kind of look back and kind of see how I played this out again. Now, obviously, I was trying to focus the tower. For some reason, Vayne flashes in, but I think she just wants to get a stun onto me, but she could have flashed away. I ultimate in, I use my first ability, and as you can see, I'm moving further and further away from this Wukong, this Diana. Now, Pantheon does really well as well to stun off the Diana to stop her ultimate, and we were able to get 4 kills in the end, and we're also able to get the tower as well. So overall, really, really nice trade and a very, very good good play by my team. Now, obviously, with Kai'Sa now, her build has changed a little bit. You go for Stinger now. For the 3rd ability upgrade. As you can see, I've got my 3rd ability upgraded now. And then what you do is you go for the Solari Charge Blade, which is still a really, really strong item. And just an item overall that's kind of changed the meta and ADCs just in general, really, to be fair. I don't think it's been about the Essence Reaver or the Navori Quick Blades. It's been no more about that Charge Blade. As you can see here, Vayne gets a little bit caught off guard. I don't think we're able to kill him, yeah. And this really kind of shows the power of Braum, really, to be honest. Braum's shield there was just really, really unlucky. And yeah, as you can see, how broken is Braum indeed. But there was 4 people top bot lane, so Pantheon and Fizz were able to get that top tower. But as you can see there, like we were able to catch off the Vayne and actually did really well in terms of DPS. But the problem is that Braum was there, just had a big massive shield up and was just a you know, a little bit unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it was our fault. We did kind of camp in the bush. We were trying to get them kills on Vayne, and we could have maybe had a look at the rest of the map, because we could have maybe realized that everyone was missing. So they could have actually been there, so we could have been a little bit more patient there. But sometimes your mind is telling you no, but your heart is telling you yes, as they say all the time with Lee Sin. But sometimes that can happen on other champions as well. So now we're going in here with the dragon, and Annie tries to go in there with the ultimate, a bit of an early ultimate, and the rest of her team were not able to follow up. I'm kind of focusing on Drake here, but unfortunately it was stolen, and the main point of this fight afterwards was just trying to focus and trying to kill the rest of the team. Now Vayne tries to kill me right at the end here. I was able to do a little bit of damage, but I don't think we're able to kill her in the end. I think Evelyn actually goes in to try and kill her in the end, but I don't actually know if she kills her or not. I can't remember. Oh, yeah, I think that's where she dies, yeah. And we're just luckily able to escape, but Fizz is able to jump over the wall and kill off. So a little bit of an overstep there in terms of the little bit overstep there in terms of the Evelyn trying to get that kill. Now, one thing I want to know actually is how did now you'll see in a second. Lulu actually types and she says, "Vayne, did you see that? How did I get tower?" Yeah, guys. So what the fuck did you just see? Like, it was really, really weird. Now, I kind of want to go back and see how Lulu took aggro. Now, I believe it's from her third ability, her Pixie, that took her damage. Because when I shielded... No, I'm not actually too sure. It might have honestly been... Now, I don't know how this interaction works. But it might have been because Lulu shielded me and my red buff was still applied onto the enemies that Lulu also got tower aggro, because Lulu maybe counts as it taking damage. I have no idea how that interaction works. I have no idea how Lulu took to tower aggro. Bit of an interesting interaction there, but nevertheless, overall pretty decent trade overall. We're able to get a few kills and get that mid lane tower. And obviously, getting that mid lane tower is super, super important. Now, we get a little bit caught out here. And as you can see in this game, we brought our Quicksilver Sash. Now, that is the main reason why I brought Quicksilver this game, was because of Annie. And Annie is going to go after me all the time this game. And obviously, with that, we were able to use... to use my Quicksilver to be able to survive that Annie burst, which was kind of the main important thing. Because if we buy Zhonya's, by the time that Annie stuns us and gets our combo off, we're probably dead. We're probably not even going to survive long enough to be able to use my stasis. So that's why I got Quicksilver this game, to kind of stop the Annie stun and to kind of make myself a little bit more mobile, because there are quite a few stuns. You do have the Braum passive as well. You do have a couple of other champions, I believe, in this game as well. Wukong as well has a knock-up. Vayne Condemn as well at the same time. Diana as well with her knock-up sort of thing with her ultimate. So there are quite a few abilities that Quicksilver or the Quicksilver Sash can be really, really helpful for. Now, we're in a pretty, I would say, decent spot at the moment. Now, they are scaling quite well. They do have Diana, which scales pretty well. They do have Vayne, which also scales pretty well. As you can see here, I'm kind of farming up, making sure that I kind of get my Solari Charge Blade as soon as possible. So I was kind of stealing the golems off of the Evelyn, but she also needed a little bit of gold as well for death cap. So me and Evelyn are about to get really, really powerful. As you can see here, I'm kind of pinging my my enemies to retreat, and obviously Lulu is saying the same thing as well to reset. So Evelyn got her death cap, I got my Solari charge blade. Now charge blade works really, really well on Kai'Sa because most of the time you will be using abilities a lot. Your third ability you're going to be using all the time to turn invisible. Your first ability, your second ability, and they have quite low cooldowns as well at the same time. Now they're trying to go on to Annie here on the mid lane. Annie uses her ultimate, so I know that she doesn't have her ultimate up and available anymore, which is a bit of a sigh of relief for me, to be fair, because that's kind of the annoying thing about Annie and what Annie can do to you is that even though she's not the best champion, she can have that little bit of a scary one-shot potential that she can kind of, you know, get a 5-man ultimate or something like that, and she can definitely carry in terms of a team fight. So in this situation, we're just kind of waiting for the dragon at the moment. We're pushing out the mid lane. We're pushing out the bot lane. We're getting that vision around that bot side of the map. As you can see, my Fizz and my Evelyn are just getting that really deep vision around the jungle. And we're just sitting in this bush at the moment, just kind of waiting for them to walk up and make a mistake. Kind of similar to the last game that we had. Kind of get that fanatic death brush sort of thing. So we're in a situation now where it's a little bit scary because Diana's off to the side. We're in a bit of a tough spot because our mid lane's been pushed in. So they have priority in terms of mid lane. I was able to use pretty much everything. I used my my stasis. I used my shields, everything. And I pretty much played that the best that I could, to be honest. But we do completely lose the fight because of the Annie. Now, I'm going to quickly go back and show you how kind of disgusting this was, to be honest. Because I used pretty much everything. Now, it's kind of a bad point that I was stood up this far and Annie was able to do this, which is kind of my mistake in the first place. I used my flash, I used my barrier, I used my ultimate, and I still somehow like died, which was kind of crazy, to be honest. But kind of a misplay in my opinion because I was stepped up to the front line. Now the problem with our comp is that we don't really have a front line, to be honest. Pretty much all we have is a Pantheon. But a really, really bad trade for us. And obviously, again, the reason why Annie could be really, really strong. And at times, Annie can win fights. But we don't really have that front line. We don't really have that sort of, you know, situation where, you know, someone could be at the front and tank that Annie ultimate. We just need someone there that can kind of, you know, kind of stay a bit protected, I guess you can say. Obviously, a nice kill there by the Pantheon, which is really, really nice. And at this point, I was like, maybe we could go for the Baron. Now, because Vayne is dead for 36 seconds, we probably have enough burst damage to actually do this Baron. But unfortunately, the rest of the team is not on the same wavelength, I guess you can say, as me. We could have done this probably quite a while ago. Vayne is still up in 18 seconds, so we're trying to do this as quick as possible. We don't see anyone on their team at the moment. Diana is clearing out top lane. So we pretty much get a free Baron. And that was all off that play in mid lane by the Pantheon. Him getting that pick onto the Vayne. Obviously, death timers is past 15 minutes now. So death timers are quite long. And obviously that pick was able to get us the Baron. Now, I still feel like we were ahead in this game. Even though we lost that team fight around the Dragon. But it's quite hard for them to kind of win a 4v5. But I do personally need to be a little bit more careful. Now we have our Infinity Edge as well. And we're just in a crazy strong spot now. That 3-item power spike for Kai'Sa. The Blade of Rune King, the Solari Charge Blade, and the Infinity Edge is really, really nice. And yeah, we're not in a bad spot. Now obviously they do have a Vayne, which is scaling up quite well into the late game. They have a Diana, which scales up quite well as well. But we do have Lulu Kai'Sa, which also does scale up pretty well now. As mentioned, Vayne does probably scale better than Kai'Sa, but you can still outplay as Kai'Sa at the same time. As you can see here, they're trying to get a crazy engagement off here onto the mid lane. But as you can see, we're doing like this kind of 1-3-1 split. They're trying to go for the crazy engage onto the mid lane. And again, it shows how strong Kai'Sa is. With all the shields, all the dashes, her invisibility, and with the Lulu shields on the back as well of that, we were able to survive that engage from the Wukong and from the Diana. And from this point, there's not really much that they can do. They tried to go for that desperate play and a desperate engage onto the mid lane, which could have worked out for them. But I think the Wukong and the Diana went a little bit too far. But we had Evelyn pushing the top lane and Pantheon pushing in the bot lane in this 1-3-1 situation. And obviously they couldn't get anything. They couldn't get any kills or anything onto us. As you can see, we're just going to push down mid lane here and pretty much end the game, which was a overall a pretty nice win. It just shows how Kai'Sa and just Lulu in general can still be really, really strong. And you can still carry games with this combo. As you can see, the Nexus has taken a little bit of time to kind of die because of the backdoor bonus. But there you go. We're able to take down the Nexus and get that victory. Obviously, for me, as mentioned, Kai'Sa is still a really, really strong champion. You still can carry with her, but it is a slightly different build. But yeah, as you can see, with all her power in terms of her shielding, in terms of her being able to dash, and obviously in that last team fight, I got knocked up by the Wukong and I was in a bit of a bad spot. But because I auto-attacked the Wukong, I was able to use my ultimate to get to the other side of Wukong. So I'm in between Wukong and Lulu. So not only am I protecting the Lulu, but the Lulu can shield me, keep me alive, and I can get isolated damage onto the Wukong. But yeah, thank you all for tuning into this video and this rundown of Kai'Sa. I hope you all enjoyed. Take care of yourselves. Have a good rest of the week, and I will see you all very soon. Out.